All right, let's talk about something huge in the business world. How do you see a crisis coming? Today, we're diving into how we can predict when a company is in trouble, long before it actually collapses. It's all about shifting from reacting to a disaster to seeing it on the horizon.
I mean, just think about that for a second. What if you had a kind of early warning system that could tell you a company was heading for disaster? That's really what we're digging into today. The move away from doing financial autopsies after the fact to performing real-time health checks.
You see, the old way of doing things relied entirely on financial reports, the ones that come out quarterly or annually. The problem? They're always looking backwards. It's exactly like an autopsy. You find out precisely what went wrong, but it's way too late to save the patient. The new approach, using open source intelligence or OSINT, is more like a real-time EKG, constantly monitoring a company's health and spotting those dangerous symptoms before the sickness really takes hold.
So let's really break down that fundamental flaw. Relying only on traditional financial data is like trying to drive your car forward while staring exclusively into the rearview mirror. Sure, you get a perfect, crystal clear view of where you've been, but you have absolutely no idea what's coming right at you.
And this quote just nails the core of that rearview mirror problem. Those traditional reports, they're what we call lagging indicators. They only confirm a problem that's already been growing for a while. By the time that quarterly report finally gets published, that crucial window for a smart, proactive response has often been slammed shut.
Okay, so if the old way is so broken, what's the alternative? Well, this brings us to a completely new way of seeing and understanding risk, and it's all powered by something called OSINT.
So what exactly is OSINT? Well, at its core, it's the art of gathering and analyzing information from publicly available sources. And we're talking about everything and anything. News articles, regulatory filings, social media chatter, even data about supply chain disruptions. The whole goal is to piece together all these little bits of information into a giant mosaic that reveals the true up-to-the-minute health of a company.
And what's really amazing is just how wide the net is cast here. This goes so far beyond the old balance sheets. We're looking at news reports, legal filings, supply chain hiccups, customer reviews, even chatter about HR issues. Imagine seeing a bunch of negative employee reviews pop up online right around the same time a key supplier starts complaining about late payments. On their own, they're just random data points. But when you see them together, they start to paint a really clear picture of internal chaos and financial strain.
Now, here's something that's absolutely crucial to understand. Companies almost never fail overnight. It's almost always a gradual process, a slow slide with really distinct stages. The whole point of OSINT is to spot those warning signs at every single step along the way.
So this decline usually follows a pretty predictable curve. It all starts with what we call early distress, those subtle signs like a supplier mentioning a payment is a little late. This can then escalate into financial instability, which is where you start seeing things like credit downgrades or key executives jumping ship. From there, it's a slippery slope into insolvency, the point where they just can't pay their bills. And finally, bankruptcy. The whole game is using OSINT to step in at stage 1, not just reacting when they hit stage 4.
But you might be thinking, how on earth can anyone possibly track all of this data for thousands of different companies all over the world? Well, the answer is technology. This is where a company like Semantic Visions comes into play, using powerful AI to turn what is just a deafening roar of data into a clear, understandable signal.
I mean, just try to get your head around the scale of this. We're talking millions of articles, reports, and data points published every single day. It's a complete fire hose of information that no team of humans could ever hope to process. And that's why an AI platform is absolutely essential. It acts like a super sophisticated filter, automatically sifting through all that noise to find the few critical signals that actually predict trouble ahead.
And to get a truly global picture of risk, you can't just be looking at English language news. The Semantic Visions platform, for instance, processes data in exactly 12 different languages. This makes sure that a critical warning sign buried in a local newspaper on the other side of the world doesn't get missed.
But here's the real magic. It's not just about collecting the data, it's about connecting it. This is a concept called data fusion. The AI isn't just flagging one-off events. It's smart enough to connect a report about a delayed shipment in Asia with some negative employee reviews at a factory in Europe and a minor regulatory filing in the US. Individually, those things are just noise, but when they're fused together, they reveal a systemic problem. And that connection, that's where the real predictive power is.
Okay, so that's the theory of how this AI-powered OSINT finds the signal in the noise. But let's see how this all works in the real world. we're going to take a look at the electric vehicle maker Fisker Inc. because it's a recent and incredibly clear example of these principles in action. Now take a look at this timeline. That bankruptcy filing in June of 2024, it was not a sudden shock. The warning signs were flashing bright red for months. As early as November 2023, we saw them cutting production targets and a key executive resigning. Then came the layoffs and finally a complete stop to production. Every single one of these events was a public signal, a breadcrumb leading directly to the final collapse.
An OSINT platform would have systematically flagged every single one of these signals as they happened. The production delays, the executive turnover, the legal troubles, the product recalls. Each one is a pretty big red flag on its own. But when an AI sees them all happening in such a short period of time, it pieces them together into a clear, undeniable picture of a company in very, very deep distress, long before any official bankruptcy announcement was made.
So what's the bottom line in all of this? It's pretty simple, actually. The future of managing risk is all about being proactive, not reactive.
A really resilient business isn't built on luck or just hoping for the best. It's built on a solid foundation of proactive, data-driven foresight, the ability to actually see what's coming around the next corner.
This right here really sums up the whole new mindset. Instead of being driven by history, we're being driven by foresight. Instead of just doing damage control after something bad happens, we practice risk mitigation to stop it from happening in the first place. At the end of the day, it's the difference between getting blindsided by a crisis and being able to anticipate threats before they ever become a real problem. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about for your own business or maybe your investments. In a world that's changing faster than ever, is your strategy built on the history of what's already happened, or is it built on the foresight of what's coming next? Thanks for tuning in.